This time we're starting right here on our arrows again because I have added an extra chunk of heat shrinking to this, which has added a little more weight to the stern. It also, as you can see, this is the creases from the old piece. I left it on there, and then I just made a bigger one to help hold it on, give it more surface area to grip, and make it extend over both ends at least a little here, so that it has more diameter, and it did make a nice difference. It made it so nice that I did it to all of my arrows. These are what were the worst two, but don't forget, when I first did them, they quickly became my very best two of the six, as the original fletchings were. I took the best of those and the best of these and kept comparing them and then modifying the fletchings of the worst ones until these were all that was left. Now they're technically my worst arrows, but I have just modified them again because I don't think it's the fletchings that are at fault here. I think it's the weight imbalance is what I'm seeing. And some of them it's worse than others. So, again, this is my setup. Now, what I've done here, I showed you my quiver. What I've done here is I've got a plastic end cap in here. This is actually off a hockey stick. My roommate Jeff has furnished all these little goodies. This all came out of one hockey stick, believe it or not. Here and here. I mean, beautiful carbon fiber weave, beautiful patterns that changed throughout it. Beautiful. In fact, these came from two different sticks, come to think of it, but they were both gorgeous sticks, same look. And I really worked to get the two that were the closest so I could make a nice match set. Now, one of the things that I did here was I pulled this up because it was loose and I didn't want to glue it. I friction fit it by sticking little wood shaving shims in there just to make it tight, and then wrap this clear tape around it, which is hockey tape, so that it has that. And it's really nice. It gives a nice space for the two arrows. I wouldn't fit a third one in there, and in fact I can't. But at the same time, I've put just enough tape on here that this can no longer come through even if it wants to. However, in all of my shooting, as you can see, I find with just the fact that this is a grip surface, it's more than enough. Like, I'm pulling on it and it stays rock solid, guys. This just kind of guarantees it, and it allows me to drop it all the way back, which I like. I am going to shoot a little bit more. Now, I am still dialing in the bow. But at the same time, every stage of this, I like to show you guys. And because now I have affected the balance of my arrows, guys, that represents a significant change. And anytime we induce a significant change, we need to test them. Now, I didn't just do this to two of my arrows, though. I did the weighting to all of my arrows because I knew that was the case. Also, I've gone through all of my arrows, and I have done exactly what I said, where you notice this one had red on both ends. Now it has red and black, because on the black ones, the white fletching goes up. And when you look this way, you'll see why. See how that left side fletching of the red one is nicely curled? That is the one that's going to be guided off the riser. If I go the other way and line up the nock the opposite, you see how that one comes straight off the side, that red fletching? And the nock is straight up and down, that's bad. It'll get damaged that way. But when you look and flip it around the other way, you notice that it doesn't. And instead it comes off at a nice angle with the curl, it works well. And so that is how this one is to be fired. And now that I have gone through all my arrows, you guys, and identified that with each of my arrows and given them a little better grip, even though I don't have a glove on right now, I can't exactly say that they are my least accurate arrows. Well, they are, technically, or they were, but now they're actually pretty accurate. And I think that the imbalances I'm seeing now aren't actually due to my arrows anymore. The bow isn't perfect yet, but it's really close, guys. And I know it's really close because it's putting up really nice, consistent moves. So again, old trick, I'm just going to push that one all the way in. And one of the reasons I like this 2-arrow quiver is not just is it good looking, but the other arrow I've got in this quiver is also a really tight spiral, and it's also a white fletching up. And I had 3 arrows of each type, 3 that need the fletching to go up and 3 that needed to go down. And it's always based on not the white fletching, it's not that one that matters. It's actually the other one that's going to be rubbing up against it. And it's just kind of how it works out. So here we go. Man, I can't really argue with that, guys. These actually put up pretty good groups. They aim, I shoot, they're pretty accurate. And it punched through enough that I couldn't really punch it in anymore. So that's not bad. As you can see, there's no real big flyers anymore. And as you can see, these are the tightest ones that I did. I did say these aren't ideal, but I have been working to open them up a little bit. Between that and adding the weight, they're actually really nice. And again, I mean, this is here on my side, and I can just drop the arrows in, and they fit nicely. Now, with normal size fletchings, this wouldn't be ideal, but because they're so stiff, unless I actually draw this one up or put them both in at exactly the same time, they don't sit equally. So if you put one in all the way and then just drop the other one in, they actually sit nicely, so you can just draw one out, which is actually what I like. I love this. It came out so nice. When it comes to engineering, guys, it's all in the details. I don't call my channel RXD for nothing. That stands for Robinson Extreme Design. I try and take the best of old and the best of new and put them together to come out with something awesome. Now, I know when I fired that it was a little off, but what I saw was that it was a little off. And so you really got to watch your form. But when things get close to perfect and you really start to get things dialed in, you got to make sure your fletching's in the right position every time, and your form has to be really locked in, smooth, straight, steady, or you're going to miss. Now, I had a very smooth draw there. I actually did draw very slowly, very carefully, very smoothly. And I'm going to look at my string here, and I am noticing it's pretty much coming right off to the right pretty hard. And I actually want to just slightly kind of adjust that. So I did. And again, you know, once you've got your best arrows, like these were my best arrows. So I addressed what was wrong with the others, and there was something wrong with them. I knew that. But it was obvious what was wrong with them. I checked the weight balance. And so I knew what the problem was there. That went through and through, by the way. That went in one side and through the other. Just barely, though. And that's why I like this material. And I back it with another material that it doesn't tend to want to go all the way through. And it doesn't even stick into the second material ever, almost ever. And the rare times it does, it's caught there, which is perfect. And when it does punch through this thing, it actually doesn't go through very far. So just so you can see I'm not full of crap, it actually, this on its own would make a great target, guys. You make a couple of layers of those, like a stack, and you'll have a nice 3D target. Just make 3 circles that are decreasing in size as your rings and glue them together, and it'll be a nice 3D stack. Man, I really like this bow. I also really like these arrows. The fletchings aren't actually bad. And I notice when I'm missing, I'm not missing by much, man. And it's more like I gotta get the bow fine-tuned than anything else. And even though these are technically my worst arrows, I can't really say that they're bad. And while I will continue to fine-tune them, there's one part of this I haven't actually done. Now, I checked the weight distribution before and after I did what I wanted. I checked the CG, and it is still a tiny bit nose heavy, but that's good for an arrow. And when I draw a nice smooth draw and take my time and aim, I either bang on hit the target or I come very, very close to what I'm aiming for. And I gotta tell you, that's pretty good for my worst arrows. These are technically my worst arrows. So I'm gonna slot that one, I'm gonna pull the other one. And again, fletching up is the way these ones need to be. So that is not the issue. I've already gone through all my arrows, established that empirically. And look at that, guys. I literally just came down on top of the target, aimed for the center, and pulled as soon as I got to here. And it hit right there, just the width of an arrow off. That is so close, guys, to being a perfect arrow, that it's certainly not my worst arrow, and it is my tight spiral. As these open up, they're getting more accurate. And I did point out they need to break in. And really all you need to do is take them and do this. I don't think I need to do anything else about the weight balance because they're very, very accurate. They're so close to perfect. I don't want to do anything else. All I'm doing is opening them up, opening them up, opening them up. And they're just about perfect. In fact, I once these are broken in properly, they will have really nice longevity as far as the fletchings go. And I'm pretty sure that unlike my other arrows where my fletchings were kind of the first to go, I have a feeling these shafts will let go long before my tips, inserts, nocks, or fletchings do. But I did have one of them that was coming up before I did the heat shrink down here. You really need to do this. And don't put very much down here, only enough to do the job. Put your weight here, and you'll add as little weight to the arrow as possible while affecting its center of gravity as much as possible, which in this case is a good thing. Same with an RC airplane, you want to keep it as light as possible overall. But I have weighted this arrow, and really this should CG just forward of the front of the arrow at about 55% down the length of the arrow. And it's still more nose heavy than that. This is at 60% or 58%, and it's really close. But that's not bad. Anywhere between 55 and 60% is where you're going to want them. Trust me. That means from the back to the front, you want to see your center of gravity not perfectly in the center. You want to see it nose heavy a little bit by about ½ an inch. If you see that to an inch, that's a good thing, and you'll find your arrows are most accurate when they're in that range of balance. That being said, I'm going to end this one. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on how my new fletching designs have worked out. I cannot argue. They are more accurate than traditional fletchings. They are stronger, and they are superior. They've been RXD, baby. And like I said, that stands for Robinson Extreme Design, which means in every case, there's a design to this. So I'm going to share the design principle with you. So you'll notice down here, we have this really sharp, aggressive, like fan with this, almost like a propeller, grabbing it really tight. It almost looks like an EDF if you look at it here. And then when you look at it here, it almost looks like a propeller. This fletching was actually designed to grab the air or water if you're hunting with it in the water and bow fishing, and be stiff enough to be able to do both while being very shallow and cupped very hard. It comes off the rest really nice. All that's engineered into it. But more importantly, the top half and the bottom half are actually engineered separately. The come on and the come off are totally separate. This is grabbing and this is thrusting and forcing that water to rotate, or that air, and adding thrust. I actually get noticeably faster arrow speeds with these arrows. You can watch the videos and you will see the tighter the spiral is, the more it rotates. And so these aren't actually my worst arrows. They're just not the best at short range. These are actually better at longer range, believe it or not. The faster they rotate, at first they almost rotate too fast, but they're rotating out. And as they kind of compensate for their initial wobble, you know, the bow tends to do this. When it's spinning fast enough, I notice with these, it stabilizes that right away. And if I put myself all the way up against the back wall and use a lighter draw, they don't need to be stabilized because they don't jump off, and they just rock in straight and smoke the target. These are such nice arrows, guys. I've been firing them on a solid 28.5-inch draw, because these are 29.5-inch arrows, and I'm almost at full draw. And doing that, I'm right around a 58-pound bow. 55 to 58. I'd have to double check this one. I don't remember, but it's right in that. And it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. It shoots amazing. I no longer have what I would call bad arrows. Many other batches of arrows I've had in my life, I usually get a couple of bad apples out of 6, where 2 of them are useless. And when I really examine them, it's never because they gave me a bad shaft or they poorly engineered them. It's because the fletchings aren't exactly the same. So I spent a lot of years trying to figure out what to do about the fletchings not being exactly the same. When they come from the factory, they're all different. Oh, what do I do about that? What do I do about that? What do I do about that? And in the end, the only thing I can't overcome is the alignment here. But by making them narrow diameter, even if they're rubbing, you will lessen the effect. By strengthening this, by doubling it over, you increase the strength, you lessen the effect of it being deflected by the fact that it's rubbing the riser, which again increases your accuracy. At the same exact time, it's spiraling tighter and faster, again increasing your accuracy. Once again, guys, you're welcome from RXD. I give you quick quiver and bow. You can make them out of one riser. Very cheap, guys. Very cheap to make. One riser, I mean, you can make them out of one hockey stick, guys. And now, it's not so sticky that I can't just take it out. Pulling one way, it really resists, but going the other way, it's very smooth. And it only really grips pulling one way, which is how this is designed. And it's beautiful material, guys. Slippery one way, rock, grippy the other. And I've taken advantage of that, and I recommend you guys do the same, because this is made out of the same type of material. And these are two of my favorite sticks that made some of my favorite risers, and they happen to be the same colors. I love these colors with the carbon fiber, and it just looked great. So, I am done for this one, guys. I have shared everything that I have to share with you on archery at this point, pretty much. I am going to do another series on making feather fletchings and waxing them and showing you different ways to attach them and all that kind of stuff. We're going to have some fun with those, and I will show you that we can do the same techniques with feather fletchings because I wax them. I've already done a video on how to do that. I just haven't uploaded it yet. You'll see those are coming. Like, share, subscribe, and I will show you guys some very cool stuff involving archery or anything else that I engineer, because I am the extreme. And I don't mean that as a joke. I don't mean that as a jest. I mean, I go out of my way to take the very best and incorporate that with something new that improves on what was already there. Well, if that, by definition, isn't kind of extreme, I don't really know what is. Everything I've ever engineered, I did that. I made it better. I contributed something positive to the world in doing so. I'm glad to do it. My name is Keith Van Isle Robinson. I am here to help. It is the reason I do my channel, because I'm a good teacher, because I have a lot of wisdom. But I'm not teaching classes. And I realized one day I could pass on that wisdom and build a library of the knowledge I have in areas that you might want knowledge in, and teach it to you for free, without you ever having to step into my home or me into yours or you into a classroom or any of that crap. At home, at your own pace. And I love that. I think it's great, because I really do build some cool stuff. I promised you I would, and I do. And I've seen a lot of people making their DIY bows and their DIY quivers, and these are the two coolest ones I've seen yet. And they encompass my philosophy, which is to take the best of modern materials, engineering, physics, and put them all together with the best of ancient technology and design. Because the ancients really knew their shit. And sometimes we forget how much they knew, because we don't know all the stuff they knew, because we forgot. And the fact is, the more we learn about what ancients knew, the more we realize they knew a lot more than we would ever have thought. Because they were smart. Human beings are pretty smart. And when you underestimate human beings, you come out looking like an ass, because you talk shit. Human beings are miraculous, baby. Don't ever doubt it. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Like, share, subscribe, and I will show you incredible stuff. And this time, it's involving archery. Keep out. Hold on. Camera, no, turn off. Push button.